It is.
Hello.
This is old. Oh,
Ooh.
oh.
Uwu?
I caught Tesh
I
in
was finishing the
pre-stream chat.
conversation. Yep.
No, you're not allowed to finish your conversation. It's not allowed. We're starting D&D now. We're playing D&D for the entertainment of the masses. No, it's me. I'm doing things. You arrive. You spent a lot of your journey asking questions to the ether, to the aether, more like. But soon you turn off down a cavern towards Cavernari, and the road's still well kept, but the forest starts to die out. There's even less aether crystals on the ceiling, which makes this place much gloomier in the most part. Now, dead. It's not like you're... but not a forest either. I guess the fungal Underdark equivalent of grasslands in some parts, but even that's a little bit sparser. But soon you come to Cavernari, a glorious, new, clean city carved into the rock of an open-out cavern. This cavern is not as tall as Narashiro Cavern. You can see the ceiling quite clearly. You can see the aether crystals on the ceiling. Sure, would be like a day's climb on Spiderback to get to the ceiling, but it's not the giganticness of your homeland. As such, Cavernari is not built upwards as much. But the thing you do notice most of all is how new and fresh and clean it is. As you approach the outer walls, they don't have years of grime from the rain and the wind. They don't have graffiti or plant life glowing between the cracks of the stone paneling. It's clean. It's all this light orange color, in some places white. The outer designs are vaguely... They seem more dwarven than elven, but if you had an architecture degree, you'd see that there's a little bit of influence of mostly dwarf and elf Underdark artistry. Less Ebimari, but they are like literal aliens. When you approach the city, the first place you go to in the city is go through the one gate, because it's built up against a cavern wall, into what is essentially a grand field. In this field, fungal flowers grow, and little camps have been set up. Some by merchants, some by diplomats. Lots of beetles that are here, suckling on the water dew. I'm sorry, did I say something amusing?
Yes, you said the word suckling.
This is like how I can't use the word dank to describe a cave anymore. Because someone like him will go, that's the weed word.
You're not wrong.
But compared to...
It is the weed word.
You're right. It has the atmosphere of the marketplaces enter Narashiro, but much grander, much wider. There's a lot of space to grow. These communities are kind of, different races chatting to each other. And behind it is this city, almost looks like a grand villa. None of the buildings are, the buildings in Narashiro are adorned with giant statues, many stories tall. This isn't so much the case. The city looks engaging and attractive, but not over the top. Aside from the one statue that you can see pretty much at the entrance to the city proper outside of this entry space, which is a statue, 3 times the size of reality of an Ebimari, a dark elf, a deep dwarf, and a deep gnome, all holding one sword. And yes, the sword is diagonal due to the height difference, which you'd think would make it look kind of wonky, but it actually works. It really shows the idea behind this place. A little jewel of continued peace in a world of darkness and war and monsters. you would set up your beetle somewhere in this grand grasslands where the merchants and people set up their beetles, but you won't need a camp because you did tell Kavanari you're coming. You are expected. So I imagine you will head towards the city.
Keeping an eye out for anyone who seems suspiciously watching us, you know.
As you go up the staired entryways into the city proper, it is, it's sparse, not busy, which, as people of elven culture, you like. You like how calm it is. The people who are around are all, how should I put it, rich and clean, as well as guards. Noticeably, it seems like a lot of the guards are Duros. The empty suits of dwarven armor, used as a military force by the deep dwarves.
Rakath's just gonna put a hand on Yuna's shoulder and give it a little rub and continue. Just
a little squeeze.
I'm gonna look up super sadly.
Yeah.
When
Rakath looks sad too.
This sort of happens. You're by a fountain, and a soft-faced dwarven man with very little beard, a little bit of sort of mutton chops, but not quite a beard, jogs up, wearing a tunic, not fine clothes, but not commoner clothes. You must be the new delegates from Narashiro who are here for the meeting.
Yes.
Kind of.
Well,
Yes.
you're here just as expected. So, I can show you towards your rooms here in Kavanari.
Thank you. Can I just insight check this dude as well? Because he seems out of breath. And if he's got to do this running all the time... Oh, 21. that was a roller coaster of a roll.
You sense that this guy has a lot going on, but he's trying to not let it affect his work.
Oh.
But he's very happy to work here. He has just, although he's a dwarf, and he's just jogged down some steps.
He is just out of breath.
He is just out of breath.
Okay.
And would start leading you with a happy walk and a more sensible pace.
He's running into issues Rofi should be if Rofi wasn't a Fey being.
Yeah! If Rofi didn't casually disregard the laws of physics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your name?
My name's Tony.
Tony. It's very nice to meet you. My name is Rakath.
Yes, I know that, actually. Kind of pulls out a little dwarven slate of... You could just count that it's clearly meant to represent you guys.
I can read it, actually.
Even if you couldn't.
Oh.
Yeah.
Rakath can count. That's good. I didn't remember that. That might be relevant.
Well, it's actually this very specifically.
Oh! That's very surreal to you then, because I was just great valid point that the city being new is very well signposted. Narashiro is not. But this is, right? Everything is in its proper place. The signpostage is in 4 languages. Stacked on top of each other.
So
They're all the same language for me.
Yeah.
I just read them all the same. They're all...
That's why I realized that's pretty funny.
Interestingly, they're probably all giant for me. Which is... Yeah.
Closest to Dwarven.
Yeah. Very interesting. I'm noting down then everywhere we go, so I'm basically memorizing the routes in the city.
Sure.
As we're going.
It's very direct. You're being taken towards what are essentially villas for the diplomats. You think this might be the one meant for the Narashiro diplomats, and it seems like there are multiple villas down, up and down this street. You're kind of up against one of the cavern walls where this villa is built. And there's clearly what is quite literally a House of Parliament type building in the middle. You know, if this is a V. In the middle there. Really close to all the villas where everyone of important lives is your place of work. Which is probably one of the more aesthetically pleasing buildings. Again, not that they're not, it's just not Narashiro, or Paradise, which also was very pretty. You are shown to your villa, which has guards outside. Your guards are not Duros, they are actual samurai from Narashiro.
That's more concerning, honestly.
And you are shown around your villa, which is larger than your home and has multiple bedrooms, a pool, you know, a kitchen, although there's no one in right now, but someone can...
Picturing, like, resort housing in Mexico type situation. Yeah.
Literally, yes.
Yeah, okay,
that
gotcha.
kind of thing. And Tony will show you around quite excitedly. And
I like this place. It's very clean.
If there's anything that I can help you with, I'd be happy to. And as I know, sometimes people in your profession get into a bit of trouble. The medical teams here are top notch.
That's very good to know. I would actually love to talk with them at some point. That's personal.
Well, I can maybe set up a meeting. Tomorrow, you have a meeting with all of the treaty representatives.
Right.
That's in the afternoon, though. We could set something up for the morning, but you might want to rest in the morning. You've been on the road quite a while.
Well, I'm actually I'm feeling quite good. But the others may need to rest. That being said, I would be happy to meet with them tomorrow morning. It would be quite nice.
Okay, let me chisel that in. And
lovely.
She does.
By the way, are we the last to arrive of the delegates or the first?
Oh,
Or
everyone
perhaps
else. Most of the other delegates live here. Mr. Deepspine came in specially for this meeting.
he is the delegate for.
Oh no.
No.
He
Who's
just
he?
joins a lot of the meetings. You don't know?
I don't know. I'm very new at this. Keep
well,
that between you and I, though.
Okay. Mr. Deepspine is the inventor of Duros and manages their creation on the warfront.
Oh, that's good.
He likes to be at these meetings in case any war discussions are made.
Yes. Well, I suppose there probably will be today.
But I think
Tomorrow.
everyone else lives here. There was another Ebimari who came in.
Another one.
Kakarat, I believe his name was.
Katarat. Yeah, what?
Yes,
He's a
the
lovely
delegate
fellow.
is of Ebimari doesn't leave here, actually.
And have you heard any word from the enclaves, the gnomish enclaves, specifically the gnomes of Paradise and the gnomes of Asset?
There are representatives from them who have just arrived.
Lovely.
If you would like me to have them brought up here, that's absolutely fine.
That would actually be delightful.
I will organize an evening dinner.
Oh, Tony, you are the best. I very much like you.
I'm glad to serve.
Question for you. Do you take tips?
I don't think I've ever been asked that before. I don't know.
I'm just gonna take out 5 gold and put it in his hand.
Do it in the way where he can't say no.
You do now.
Hey. Well, okay.
Thank you so
Put it
much
in his
for
pocket.
leading us here. And by the way, if you ever need anything from us, don't hesitate to ask. If we can accommodate, we will.
I'm sure I won't be needing anything like that, but I'm
No,
glad you're very very polite.
The offer is genuine. I mean it sincerely.
He blushes a little bit, but nods. Is there anything else I can set up for you?
Is there food set up in here already?
There are some basic provisions, but there is currently no chef.
That's okay.
He will show you to the pantry, which is very stocked of all sorts of things.
Basic provisions, Tony, you dog. Smack him on the shoulder. And
yes, we didn't quite manage to get the caviar in, so it is a little bit
quite
emptier than
alright.
expected.
I'm just excitedly piling food onto whatever counter is there, and I'm just gonna start putting things together. It's not gonna be pretty. It's not gonna necessarily.
It's a Scooby-Doo sandwich.
That's exactly what I'm planning on making. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I imagine that we probably make bread somehow. Like
there are breads.
Yeah.
It's dwarves make a lot of bread, so there's definitely dwarven bread.
Perfect.
Which you wouldn't have much of a problem with. A lot of drow will find it too dense and quite difficult to chew, but not Raka.
I imagine it's kind of got a bit of a rye flavor to it, and
yes, yeah.
Okay, all right.
I'm very excited about that.
All in, yeah, and I'm putting in.
It is
I'm
a thing
making
that you
just a
would
massive
note. Most of the food here is led toward dwarven tastes. There is obviously some drow things as well, but there are kegs of dwarven ale and whiskey, stuff like that.
So I'm gonna make 4 sandwiches and bring them out. And is Tony still here right now?
Tony is still here.
Then I'm gonna make a 5th sandwich, and I'm gonna bring it to Tony.
Okay. Well.
I would like to set up a meeting with the creator of the Duras, but it's not super important. Whatever fits his schedule.
He's doesn't usually accept such requests, but I will send it to his assistant.
You can tell him that we had a very unusual Duras in our party that I would like to ask more information about.
Okay.
What is his assistant's name, by the way?
Well, they have a name.
It's a good one, too.
I can't not reference that damn meme.
It's
it was so good. Their assistant is called Mock.
Mock. I love
Oh, that's actually not... But that is true. They say that, but usually a lot of things go through his personal Duros. He has a small troop of them that travel with him. Mock handles his affairs here. A lot of work for Mock, a lot of copying of paperwork and things. But the personal Duros would be the people that if you were in person, you'd be asking questions to them.
Interesting. And does his personal Duros have a name?
There's multiple, but the one in charge is a unique design called Breaker.
Breaker. Promising name.
Oh dear. While this is going on, Rofi is already got his table out and started tinkering on something. Specifically, he seems to be working on a gauntlet of some kind.
Yeah, there is noticeably no craft room in the villa, but that doesn't matter.
Oh no, he's made a corner into his craft room.
I'm aware, yeah.
Rakath is going to sit down next to Rofi and start eating his sandwich, and just like occasionally just move Rofi's sandwich into Rofi's mouth.
Very good.
He will do the thing where he will just bite without even thinking and then continue working.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. Yeah.
Tony will, with all those thingamies to do, head off to work.
Does he eat his sandwich first?
He does not.
Bring it with you, Tony.
You think Tony didn't notice that you made
Tony,
a
Tony, before you run off.
I'm gonna go and get some paper wrap and wrap the sandwich in a little bit of paper for him.
Exceedingly kind. I'm not my social position shouldn't allow me to eat this sandwich. It is reserved for the delegates.
Enjoy. It is my absolute insistence that you enjoy this sandwich.
Oh, you can give me a persuasion check.
Do I just roll a natural 20, Aaron? Is that what we want to use that?
That would be very in character, unfortunately.
You know what, Tony? 24.
Tony nods, and you've seen this look before on servants and staff, where the fake smile becomes a genuine smile.
Yeah.
And we'll take it under one arm.
Yeah, it's a big sandwich.
It's a big sandwich. And head off with a hop in his step.
Yeah, lovely. This is how we make friends, everybody. This is how we don't get stabbed in the city.
It is a good lesson to make good with the people taking care of you, because then they'll take very good care of you.
I mean, to be honest, though, it hasn't worked so far for us.
No, absolutely.
Anyway, Paradise.
Paradise is the one example where I will say we got very
well
in Paradise.
Speaking of, I hope you didn't have too much lunch, because a few hours later, there is a ring at the doorbell.
More food.
And it's How.
Hey!
How?
In a brand new outfit, and noticeably, due to his station as High Priest, a hat.
Hells yeah.
I'm not gonna say it's a Pope hat, but it's close.
But it's a Pope hat.
Ow, congratulations.
Yes, well, you did all have a lot to do with it. I would say I'm in your debt, but I'm not.
No, not at all. But we're happy to have you here, and we're happy to have a friend. That's the most important thing.
I am surprised. I don't honestly think this will go well, but...
Me neither, but here we are.
Well, why not, I suppose?
Worst case scenario, we've had another meeting for the first time in a very long time for the treaty. Which is not a bad thing.
I mean, I hear they have all sorts of meetings about water purity regulations and crop harvest and things, but I'm sure they'll enjoy something a little bit more meaty.
Yes. I think it's going to be very important.
Are you all right? I heard that you exploded.
Yes. Well, we survived. Not all of our city did.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Me too. It's brought some unification that wasn't originally expected, though.
Interesting.
Lots has happened, Hal. Lots. We've been stabbed many times since we last spoke.
I can't say the same.
I'm very glad to hear that. I was hoping you would say those exact words.
I'm nearly 100% stabbing free.
Oh, nearly?
I do work at a casino.
True. And I did almost stab you that one time. I do apologize for that. That was, don't know what happened still. So, here we are.
That'll be when there's another knock at the doorbell. Knock at the doorbell?
Yes.
It's your chef.
Bong, bong, bong.
Your chef is a dwarf, a deep dwarf. They have
Welcome.
spines in their beard, and it's sort of a yes, and like carrying in like a pulling a cart of things like yes, I will prepare the food. Yes.
And what's your name, by the way?
You know, I have a name.
And it's a good one too.
His name is Akar Grim.
Akar Grim.
Akar Grim. And he will lurch his way into the kitchen and start working, preparing or drinking of a cup of his own ale at the same time, and stirring the soup. And
the best food is made while the chef. So this is.
I like that I keep going to write down people's names, and I'm like, wait, no, Rofi's not paying attention.
No,
like,
Rofi
I'll
is in the corner.
No.
Don't worry, I've got this.
Will's so good, I don't even write down most of the names.
my bio page is fucking like 8 scrolls long on the organizations alone.
But I am gonna have to look up the name of who you meet from Azet.
Is it Tien? Did Tien come along?
You know, it probably would be Tien. I wasn't actually gonna have it be Tien, but it would make more sense to be Tien than anyone else.
That's kind of my thought, yeah.
So it would be. Tien does not have new clothes.
This is expected. He's still wearing the same battered shit that he was wearing when we found him in the stable.
Yeah.
Good. Perfect. Is it cleaned since then?
Oh, yes.
Okay, that's good.
These are
Glad to hear that.
essentially paladins. They put a lot of importance into the cleanliness of one's armor, but not necessarily in the prettiness or the reforging. And, you know, a clean armor works properly. You don't want any of it to lock up, and he will bow. Like, Hal didn't even bow. Hal was just like, hey!
Friends!
He did.
Tien! Welcome! Yeah. Rakath is going to, like, give him a nice big clasp on the hand as he comes in. Welcome, welcome. It's good to see you.
Oh,
Yes.
Yuna's gonna like pick him up in a hug.
Yeah.
Okay. I
good to see
was not expecting an invitation, but I assume this is quite sensible so that we can flesh out what we want to have in our future meeting. That is when he like looks to the table and sees Hal, who he knows, and his smile does drop slightly, realizing, oh, that guy is also gonna be here. But you know.
But essentially, yes, that is part of the plan, and also just a nice time to socialize and honestly give all of us a little bit more security as well in our first night in a new city.
Yes. I was like, well, actually, I've been here quite a few days. They don't have their casino operations here are not as fleshed out as they are in Paradise, I will say.
That's to be expected. I don't think anywhere has their casino operations quite as fleshed out as Paradise does.
I hear rumors, but it's not like the Abimari are going to be gambling.
Well, I think they gamble in a different way.
Dinner will be served. It is big. Lots of... No, you start off with a soup. You don't necessarily know what the soup is made of, but it is orange.
I'm enjoying it.
It's
Whatever it is.
slightly colder than you expect, but not cold.
Cold soup. Cool. I'm into it.
After that, you know what? It's straight up going to be a hook horror. Is roasted on the table and carve the meat and things. Yeah.
I'm assuming there are dry foods as well, breads, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
To go along with it. Yeah,
There's,
I'm going to stuff a
there's
few of those in my
side dishes.
Dave.
As you know, biscuits are ending up in Rakath's pockets, as per usual.
Technically, orange juice in a bowl would also be a soup, so that could be correct. It's a rare fruit called an orange. You've never seen one before.
Sourced. The Ebimaris brought it in somehow from somewhere that they may or may not have
Fruit
access
from the
to.
surface is actually really, really sells well on the black market because it has to be very well preserved to get here.
Yeah.
You know, I imagine Univara in her youth maybe one day had a party for someone's birthday and they managed to get a single mango, and that was the entertainment. That so and the man whores.
Well, yes, of course.
Goes
Can't be a sweet 16 without the man horse.
1600.
Yes.
I was just about to say 16 for a drow is very different than 16 for a whom.
Una is 16 for a drow.
Yeah.
Just to remind you.
Yeah.
Already stealing souls like a grown-up.
So, we should discuss what everyone's intentions or desires are for the meetings.
Hal peeks his head around the roast to see.
I suppose we should ask first. What do the representatives of the dwarven communities want? What is it you seek?
These aren't dwarves.
Gnomish community.
I was literally like,
Rakath does
brain.
not
I thought
see
you were
race.
asking the chef.
The chef is like, I just want the beer. They pay me.
Beer it is! How about the gnomes?
I'm just gonna give a beer to the dwarf.
How does it? Whatever we can get. It would be neat to be officially part of the treaty. I think I can speak for Steel Ass here too, that we don't want to be under the thumb of the Dalian Tal, the other gnomes. We want to be on our own. We want to be our own thing. If we were just like every other gnome, we'd be just like every other gnome. And they are like, they're colder than Voss.
Wow.
That's impossible. Interesting. And Tien, do you share that sentiment?
Tien nods somewhat hesitantly. We do not require a seat at the table, but opening communication would be good for all of us, especially the aether crystal mining we can still procure from the Underfey. It might be very valuable to the treaty as a whole.
Rakav looks over to Rofi and
You have some ideas, I believe, for that, don't you?
Yeah. And he pulls out the sword. I've been using aether crystals as a battery to power this. It's been really strong, little volatile. Got to work on that. But I also think I could adjust that to something that. And he pulls out his got
rail gun,
something like this. It's small at this point because it's got the hand.
Oh
cannon.
yes,
it's still big.
It's
still big, but it's handheld.
It would be reasonable for a medium-sized creature to hold in one hand. It is a little ridiculous for Rofi to hold in one hand, but he never shows any difficulty.
It's like those comically large, like giant hand cannons that people have in like anime and stuff. It's one of those for Rofi, and it's like something like this, but probably a little bit more reproducible. Using the aether crystal with that, it would be. I have ideas.
The Treaty of the Deep was partly built on sharing military technology. That is what the Dalian Tal mainly do in the deal. The other gnomes. That and the some aspects of the dwarves. The military technology would surely do very well. And we could work as a connect.
If you could get a seat at the table, would you want one?
If we were to be trading aether on a mass scale with the treaty to make these weapons, we would require one. We would need a seat at the table so that we can
have your voice heard properly.
Have our voice heard properly. This is really a Rakath and Yuna. Can you both give me history checks?
$16.
Sweet 16.
Much better, 21.
Yuna, you were trained to be a diplomat. The Treaty of the Deep works on... We're talking about seat at the table. That is literally how it works in the most part. But it changed recently because of the Darkling refugees. There is a difference between being at the table and being a member of the treaty. In particular, the Darklings have a representative that cannot vote, but can be a part of every meeting and can have their voice heard and can bring their, their thoughts on anything. So there's kind of two tiers of being part of the treaty. The reason given for this, for the Darklings, is they don't have a unified nation. They have a voice because of a refugee crisis, but you figure because of trying to keep control, they would probably try to keep any new people into a similar role as well, which would not be something that they would want. Paradise probably wouldn't mind not being able to vote in things, but...
We should argue against that, though.
Yeah.
I'll kind of explain that differentiating
I
status
imagined
party.
you as a party wouldn't be a fan, but that's how it works right now.
That's how it works. However, we can make the argument that they shouldn't fall into the same status as the Darklings because they do have a unified nation. And they deserve a vote.
They are collective enclaves.
Mhm.
That's
They simply wouldn't fall into the same category, although people will try to put them into one.
Agreed.
I'm gonna go back to eating my soup.
Realistically, I don't think anything there is out of the question, necessarily.
You are very good diplomats. As in, you can make them do things against their best interest.
Well,
No, but I don't want to.
You convince them that they want to do what they want to do, and then they won't be mad about it anymore.
it's true. And realistically, everyone here does, to some extent, want the same thing. Though what exactly that looks like for each of them may be very different. The question is, how do we look at how all of that unifies for all of the nations?
That's the question with something as big as a treaty like this.
The gnomes wish to produce. The dwarves wish for war. The Abamari are content. We want revenge.
Tien will say, this treaty was built for war. But from
Yes, it
our
was.
research, it seems that the trade and sharing of technology has been much more valuable. Your nation even went on their own war without the treaty's assistance.
Yes, we did.
And the war that is being waged by the treaty, there are records of grand-scale Ebimari losses, and absolutely no results from the dwarves, despite continued battling.
Yes.
It was surprising to read that the Ebimari suffered the most losses. You would think it would be the others.
The issue is they all tried to do it on their own. Every time one of the groups tried to do something on their own, they fell short because of what they tried to do it on their own. If everyone helped, they all have strengths and can reinforce.
The treaty was built for war, but the individuals within the treaty were not.
I think the treaty was built so that they wouldn't war amongst themselves and could point their swords elsewhere. Whereas what you're suggesting would be a unified military effort.
Yes, it would.
A common enemy can work wonders to unification.
That is true.
Gath, why do you think it's the case that the Ebimari have suffered the most losses in this war, but they're content right now, according to our sources? Isn't that weird?
It is weird. Because
They
I
might
suspect that they're not actually taking those losses for nothing. I suspect that those losses are gaining them things. Otherwise, they wouldn't be content. The hive mind that Catarat spoke of, every life within it is shared. But the whole remains. Unless a hive is wiped out, I suspect that they're not that concerned. Not really. Not on the grand scheme of things. Especially since they can reproduce, as we've seen, through other means.
I can ask my Ebimari friend later. It might be too far past. for him to remember anything.
It's possible.
He might not be around, or he might not have been living during the time of the war, but it's possible.
I love that we just have an Ebonari skull that we can just ask.
There's a bag of skulls. You have a bag of skulls.
Fantastic.
We do, yeah.
You also have Katarat, who you have had dealings with, who is not the Ebonari representative.
Yes.
Here. So, you do have another voice.
Would have invited him to eat, but don't really have the appropriate food for him here.
Well,
presently.
You could have got it.
We could have.
You don't want brain?
No, not right now.
There probably is a brain in the pantry, but it's, it's preserved.
Yeah.
It's a brain ration.
Don't we have a
Pickled.
machine that makes our food more palatable to them?
There's a
process.
an herb or something that you can
Yeah.
utilize.
Do it. I don't remember what it is, but Jareko.
Like, I remember we
Knew
got
it.
that back, right?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
Well, we should speak with Katarat.
Howard's gonna do one of those. Well, it's been great, but I need to sleep before the fun tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Very
Well,
wise.
as I'm just pulling skulls out of my bag.
They're not fussed.
Yeah.
They are gonna the dwarves. Fuck you,
I'm
William.
sorry. I
the
messed up. I messed up
gnomes
everything.
are going to excuse themselves, leaving you just closey friends. Just closies. Even the chef excuses himself, but he does ask if you want him there for breakfast tomorrow.
Has he eaten?
He was kind of eating as he was cooking. He's one of them.
Right, but has he actually had a meal at this point?
You didn't see him have one, but
Rakath is gonna cut off some portions and give it to him on a plate and say, "Make sure you eat before you leave."
I've been drinking much ale.
Yes.
My belly
Which is why you should eat before you leave.
dwarven ale. It is food for the soul.
Yes, and this is food for your belly. Please, I insist. Thank you.
So noticeably, in the last couple of days, Rofi's get up has been markedly cleaner than it has been in previous times. Less grime, all that sort of stuff. And then as he gets up from the table, you notice little tiny spider robots start going over and cleaning anything that got on his thing. And it's essentially prestidigitation, but it's done with lots of little robots.
He stole spider blueprints. That's what happened to the spider you took and left in a box somewhere at home.
I very much had the idea that he used that and was like, I can make this smaller and more useful.
Little beep boops.
And then they go back into his armor. Like they literally just go back into the holes in the armor.
Creepy.
Yep.
I think we could give it a soul.
Not these ones.
Oh.
These ones are too small.
I'm going to bed.
You don't want to stay up for question time, boss.
You don't want to ask what Ebamari skull anything?
Oh, no.
Hey,
Really
maybe
play with this.
I'll stay up for questions.
Oh,
Question time. Come on, grab your friends.
but before we do that, Voss
asking
seems to be
skulls.
the most resistant to a lot of things. I want to just, and he's without saying anything else, he's going to raise his arm with the new gauntlet, and he's going to cast.
Punch.
It's casting healing word, but what actually happens is a little canister launches out of the gauntlet straight at Voss and just smashes just in front of him, and just a green mist. over him.
That was totally what I was imagining. It's a heal grenade. And the thing is that that kind of shit is totally canon in Jarviskjir.
And there's the pause where he's watching you. He's like, "How do you feel?"
I sneeze. I feel fine.
I imagine it smells like bitter healing salves.
Good. It didn't hurt you. Okay, progress. He goes back to working on it. You can guess he probably tested on himself earlier, and it did hurt.
He had a even blacker eye at some point.
Yeah.
All right, I suppose it's question time. I was ready to swoosh, but
It's question time.
Necromancer's got a necro, I suppose. So.
Alright.
All right. What? Lay it on me.
All right.
No, too many.
Okay. Do the Ebimari care if they sustain heavy losses in battle?
So you're telling this to the Ebimari skull you have.
Mhm.
So you have
In
multiple
general.
skulls. So I wanted to check.
Ebimari skull.
You do. You cast it, and the skull goes as it does.
Mhm.
The answer you receive is, if the song can be recovered, nothing is truly lost. And you've already heard Ebimari, they've referred to the hive mind as the song.
Right.
It's a bit more complicated than that, because I can't have it be basic, but...
The Ood.
Yeah.
Doctor Who.
It's Oody, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a typical battle strategy of the Ebimari to sustain these losses in pursuit of a greater goal?
No.
When did you die?
I drowned at night.
What's night?
Very, very cool.
Rofi's gonna go sort of whisper to you. What's the last year you remember?
Yeah. What is the last year that you remember, or that you were part of the song?
You have minus the 2.
Bury the 7.
It had not yet turned the year 4000.
Over 400 years
Okay.
ago.
This is over 400 years ago.
Yeah.
So around 500 years old.
So if
Damn.
they are doing that now, it represents a change in culture.
Potentially.
If they are doing that now.
If they are doing that
Which
now.
we know they have sustained losses and we know they're okay with it. So,
We know that, yes, but whether or not it's strategy is
Yeah.
is the question, I suppose. You have one more question, don't you?
I do. Do you have one?
What question do you want to ask the skull that you keep in your bag? It's got little tentacles. No, it doesn't. It's a skull. There's holes where they should be. But they're not there.
So
He died 500
generally,
years ago.
This is the general question that I'm going to essentially be again doing what
Generally
Rofi did,
asking.
whispering to Yuna.
If a skull hears you, he's gonna answer.
Yeah, no, Rakath is going to be very quiet. Because this is where I rolled a natural 20 on stealth using Yuna's portent to make sure that Yuna. No,
I have an idea.
So the general question would be, when you were part of the song, what strategy did your song employ to combat
To
the
wage
surface?
war.
Yeah, to wage war against the surface
Against
specifically.
the surface. If there was a war against the surface, though, at the time, do we know of that?
We don't. Actually,
Just
can I make
ask-
can I make a history check to see if there was a war
Yeah.
from the Ebimari at that time?
You could just ask what are typical Ebimari battle tactics.
Yeah, exactly.
16 again.
It's a bit too.
No, or I don't
specific.
know.
You don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll just ask in general, like, what are Ebimari typical battle strategies?
I was not a soldier. I was an explorer. I didn't need to know.
That's weird because isn't their whole song connected?
They're all
Don't they
connected.
know everything that
But they
everyone
might just
knows?
have to, like, I don't know.
I think it might be like a library. They have to like. I want to know that.
They might
Thank
have
you.
to, like, actively
Yeah, it's possible.
get that information.
Hmm.
Okay. Goodbye, John. Put him back in the bag.
He's called John.
He has another name, but I don't remember what it is. so it's
John Doe.
He does have a name. You did ask. Because you always
I
ask,
didn't write it down.
but you didn't write it down. Neither did
I don't
Yuna.
actually care.
No.
I'm just
Rakath
doing it to be
cares.
polite.
It's
could
good to be
find it.
polite to the dead because they might, you are being a necromancer. Who knows what
How
could
often?
come back
Yeah.
to get
Speaking
to
of
bite
being
you.
polite to the dead, I'm gonna pull out Ivansaur, who I remember his name.
I don't. Is that a
He's
sun
one of
elf?
the Sun Elves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ivy
Do we want to ask him the follow-up questions that we didn't get before? Namely about his human companions.
What were the follow-up questions we had?
We asked a follow-up question as to like his human allies and where they were located on the surface, and he just basically said they exist because I wasn't specific enough in my questioning.
Sure.
Or do we want to save that for tomorrow?
We may as well do it today.
But do you have enough questions for it to be worth doing now?
Exactly. It's like we might...
Really, you only have one-ish. I would say for the sake of doing shit, save it.
Exactly. Basically, tomorrow we're going to go to those delegations, right? And a big topic is going to be waging war on humans. And we have 2 sources of information that we can pull from.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
I say humans, but I meant service.
I know, but I liked waging war on
It's
humans.
like human elitism.
We can, yes. Anything else you want to do
Hold on
before
to that.
tomorrow?
Give Yuna a forehead kiss, and then go to sleep.
Very good,
Yep.
very canon.
It's in the canon.
It is not Legends material. Alright. You good? Good
Yeah.
for sleep? Sleep confirmed.
Star wipe.
Time for a break. I don't have a star wipe. I should have a star wipe. But I don't. Think of the opportunities. Anyway, we'll be back in a couple of minutes for hot diplomacy action.
You'll be back in a couple minutes.